Oh, hello. Many Magic the Gathering players ask the question, who are the top 5 best new commanders from Secrets of Strixhaven? Well, let's be honest, it's probably the 5 new Elder Dragons because, come on, have you seen these cards? The 5 dragons who founded the fantasy genre's best wizarding school are back in Secrets of Strixhaven, and all 5 have received mind-blowing new designs built around the same central theme, giving your instants and sorceries iconic keywords from Magic's past. Silver Quill, the Disputant, gives your instants and sorceries Casualty 1. Witherbloom, the Balancer, gives them Affinity for creatures. Quandrix, the Proof, gives them Cascade. Oh my god. Lorehold, the Historian, gives them Miracle. And oh my god, again, Prismari, the Inspiration, gives them Storm. Storm! I think I'm changing majors. Let's go theater department. All 5 of these new Elder Dragons will make for awesome commanders the moment Secrets of Strixhaven drops, but you didn't need me to tell you that. I'm sure most of you have already started brewing decks around one or more of them. I know I certainly have. But did you know that Secrets of Strixhaven has legendary creatures that are not the new Elder Dragons? It's true, and in this video, I'll be talking about the 5 best new commanders to helm your next commander deck that are not the Elder Dragons from Strixhaven. I'm going to go over not only what I love about these new commander designs, but I also will cover what kinds of decks I'd build around them, and any notable cards that may pair particularly well with what they bring to the table. So with all that being said, let's jump right in, shall we? But first, as the fervor for Strixhaven grows and many stores mark up product, I wanted to let you know that Micro Center has pledged to never charge above MSRP for Magic the Gathering products, and oftentimes they are available for less. Micro Center, great value and selection on computers, computer parts, and other electronics, and a pledge to never mark up Magic products ever. I'm so glad that my ads for Micro Center require nothing more than those fine qualities. No gimmicks needed, nor must I debase myself in advertising them. What? I have to debase myself? It's in the contract? Who signed that contract? It actually says I must debase myself for Micro Center? What do I have to do? It's me, Super Micro Center brother, and I'm here to tell you about Super Micro Center. It's a galaxy of savings. Let's go to Micro Center and get computer and or electronic item, Magic and or the Gathering product. I don't know, like a 3D printer? Is that what you like now? 3D printers? No, I want a new contract. I have a master's degree, and I have a new location for you that's in
Austin, Texas.
Opening soon. I'm floating in the galaxy of savings around Micro Center, brothers, of which I am one. Other places mark up Magic product? Oh no, but not at Micro Center. So blast on off to your Micro Center today, Mamma Mia, and buy things there. I have a master's degree. Spaghetti. Fun. First up, we have a mono-red commander that brings together 2 classic red archetypes, Spells Matter and Artifacts. Mica, Reader of Runes, is a red 4/4/4 with Ward, pay 3 life. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you may sacrifice an artifact. If you do, copy that spell and you may choose new targets for the copy. Now this is some inspired uncommon legend design. Red is no stranger to either Spellslinger decks or artifact sacrifice decks, but few mono-red cards naturally fit both themes. So how would you build around Mica? I absolutely love a commander like this, one that bridges the gap between 2 archetypes in a well-established design space that previously had no overlap with one another. These kind of commanders pose a deck-building problem without giving away all the answers for how to solve it. It's up to you, the designer of the deck, to find common ground where none existed before. So here's how I would approach building a Mica Reader of Runes deck. Whenever I build around a commander with a triggered ability, I want to be aiming to resolve that ability as often as possible. In the case of Mica, that means I want to reach a mid-game state where I'm putting my instants and sorceries on the stack throughout a turn cycle and sacrificing artifacts to copy them each time I do. This means I need to fill my deck with as many spells as possible and have a constant flow of artifact sack fodder lying around. One way to do this is with the spells you're casting themselves. The Big Score and Unexpected Windfall are great to copy, as you only have to discard one card to draw 4 cards and make 4 treasures that can either cast more spells or just be sacrificed to copy those spells. Another method is with artifact token generation. Stormkiln Artist from our first trip to Strixhaven is a perfect fit for this deck, generating a treasure token not only when you cast each instant and sorcery you cast, but also when you copy them with Mica's trigger. Don't you just love when a card from one visit to a plane synergizes perfectly with a card from the next? Some cards in red make an artifact token every turn, such as Loyal Apprentice or Generous Plunderer. If you're making a lot of treasures, Zorn and Academy Manufacturer multiply those treasures for greater sacrifice opportunity. Finally, you may consider running a Goblin Welder style package of non-token artifact recursion. Welder, Goblin Engineer, and Duretti Scrap Savant are all just as potent in a Mica deck as they are in a more dedicated artifact sack deck. Pair them with classics like Ichor Wellspring and Prize Statue to get additional benefit from your sacrifices. Next up on our list, we have a fascinating design that would almost be an engine in a can, except for one glaring stipulation, but this stipulation only makes the card more interesting. Nita, Forum Conciliator, is a 2/3 human advisor for 1 generic and 1 of each Silver Quill mana. Whenever you cast a spell you don't own, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Also, as a sorcery, you can pay 2 generic mana and sacrifice a creature to exile an instant or sorcery from an opponent's graveyard. You may cast it this turn and spend mana of any type to do so. Then exile the spell instead of putting it back in the graveyard. So perhaps you can see the drawback with that second ability. It's an exceptionally powerful way to steal your opponent's cards, but it only steals instants and sorceries. Honestly though, I'm not mad about it. If Nita could steal any card from an opponent's yard with her second ability, not only would she probably be too powerful for a 3-mana creature, but your whole deck would become streamlined to do nothing but sack your own creatures to steal their stuff. That would be fun and all, but I actually like the kind of deck Nita wants you to build around. Yes, you should absolutely be capable of activating that second ability whenever there's a juicy target in an opponent's yard, but that's not your only game plan, or even your primary one. The real primary game plan is that first ability, casting spells you don't own to grow your wide board. The white side of Nita wouldn't contribute to the first half of that game plan, but it will be happy to cover the second half, give you a wide board full of little creatures to make large. Consider Nita a hybrid between a white token deck and a black yoink deck. Y'all know what I mean by a yoink deck, right? Yoink! Black handles the opposition agents, the cunning rhetorics, the mind flayers, the Arvinox the mind flails, while white has you covered on the secure the wastes, the Felidar retreats, the god eternal Oketras, and so on. Meanwhile, as the game progresses, chances are your opponents are going to cast some instants and sorceries. Keep an eye on those, because once they've hit the yard, they've entered your domain. Essentially, Nita's second ability is a toolbox-style bonus on an already self-sufficient game plan. Because she can steal your opponent's instants and sorceries, that frees you up to run fewer instants and sorceries of your own than you otherwise might. This gives you more space to include cards that more directly synergize with your game plan. If the other players at the table get mad that you aren't helping keep the various threats in check, tell them it's not your fault. You would be happy to cast a Swords to Plowshares on Mrs. Bumbleflower if someone would just put one in their graveyard for you. Alright, we're halfway through our list, and next up we have another red card that can copy instants and sorceries, but this one isn't mono red, and she goes about this game plan in an entirely different way. Aziza, Mage Tower Captain, is a 2/2 Djinn sorcerer for 1 of each Lorehold mana. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you may tap 3 untapped creatures you control. If you do, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. Aziza is kind of like a red-white version of Wrath, Weatherlight Stalwart from Dominaria United. A spells matter deck crossed with a go-wide creature deck. It's a bit harder to pay for Aziza's triggered ability than it is Wrath's, as you need 3 creatures instead of 2. But the payoff is a lot stronger. Copying a spell on the stack is better than drawing a random card. But the main reason to compare Aziza to Wrath is that you go about building her and Wrath in similar ways. Both cards, for instance, love spell-backed token engines. Blue has a lot of great ones, but red is no slouch on this front either. Young Pyromancer, Rite of the Dragon Caller, and Storm Splitter are more than happy to step in where Talran's Sky Summoner, Murmuring Mystic, and Shark Typhoon have to step out. And you still get to hold on to all the token generation White was already great at. Monastery Mentor and Clarion Spirit, yes, but also spells like Raise the Alarm, Call the Coppercoats, and Secure the Wastes. You also get all the white token payoffs like Intangible Virtue and Virtue of Loyalty. But let's set aside the things that are the same between Aziza and Wrath and focus on what Aziza brings to the table that Wrath couldn't dream of. Spell-based burn like Gutter Snipe and Electrostatic Field for one thing. Mana generation like Electro, Assaulting Battery, and Storm-Kilned Artist for another. But here's a fun twist. Remember, you're a token deck. Impact Tremor effects are awesome with Aziza. Perforos, God of the Forge, War Leader's Call, Terror of the Peaks. These are all great cards in your Aziza 99. Alliance cards from Streets of New Capenna, or yes, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Positively pop off once you've got a few token engines going. The hardest hurdle to get over when you drop blue is how to keep the card flow going. Idol of Oblivion is a great card in any token deck, but once per turn, extra draws won't be enough to keep up. You could piece together a few of these types of cards, of course, Welcoming Vampire, Enduring Innocence, and so forth, but you'll need a lot to simulate the sheer volume of cards blue would have gotten you. Fortunately, card draw like Cut a Deal, Laughing Mad, and Big Score are all excellent things to copy. And red does still have 1-mana cantrips like Crash Through, Crimson Wisps, and Warlord's Fury. I just love a non-blue Spellslinger commander. Cutting the most important color from a classic archetype creates all these new deck-building challenges. Finding solutions to those challenges is always a ton of fun. It's what Commander is all about. So what are the 2 best new commanders from Secrets of Strixhaven that aren't one of the 5 Elder Dragons? Well, Moseo, Vane's New Dean, is a 2/1 mono-black bird skeleton warlock for 2 generic and a black mana. Moseo has flying and makes 1 of the new pest tokens on entry. Pests in this set gain life when they attack, instead of when they die, as they did last time. Moseo also has the new ability word Infusion. At the beginning of your end step, if you gained life this turn, return up to 1 target creature card with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the amount of life you gained this turn. You might be sensing a theme with my picks for this video. Every commander I've discussed so far has brought together 2 distinct archetypes under a single general's umbrella. In the case of Moseo, those 2 archetypes are Life Gain and Reanimator, 2 classic black archetypes that, once again, rarely cross over each other. Just as with Mica, Moseo's wedded strategies don't make things easy for you. You need to fill your graveyard and keep a constant flow of life gain going. The first thing you'll want is self-mill that also gains life. Mire Triton and Shinra Reinforcements, for instance. If you pair these cards with a sacrifice outlet to throw them in the yard after their ability occurs, then you at the very least guarantee you get to bring them back at the end of your turn. Barrow Goyf is an excellent card in this deck that gains you a ton of life and buys back creature cards you find with its mill ability. Ayara, First of Lothwain, gives you plenty of life each turn and recycles your creatures to then bring them back with Moseo. Silver Smoke Ghoul is a card draw engine that will keep chugging along passively while you enact the rest of your game plan. While Witch of the Moors is another card that passively benefits from your game plan, though this one just sits in play and keeps your cards flowing while keeping your opponent's board in check. You may also enjoy finding ways to get get multiple Moseo triggers in a single turn. Strionic Resonator, for instance, to copy the trigger, or just equip Moseo with Helm of the Host to get multiple Moseos and multiply your triggers exponentially. Keep in mind you don't actually have to juice the maximum value you can out of Moseo's infusion ability. You can also just play a classic black life gain deck with cards like Veto, Thorn of the Dusk Rose, and any of the new infusion cards from Secrets of Strixhaven. That's the beauty of these cards that combine two archetypes. How far you lean in one direction or the other is entirely up to you. And depending on which way you go, your Moseo deck will look entirely different. So who is the #1 best new commander from Secrets of Strixhaven that is not one of the 5 Elder Dragons? Well, it's actually not a dragon so much as a frog with boundless combo potential. Berta, Wise Extrapolator, is a 1/4 frog druid for 2 generic and 1 of each Quandrix mana. Berta has the new Increment ability, which is sort of like Evolve, but for spells on the stack. If you spend more mana on a spell than Berta has power or toughness, put a +1/+1 counter on her. Her third ability is pay X and tap her to create a 0/0 fractal with X +1/+1 counters on it. And no, I didn't forget her second ability. I just wanted to save the wildest for last. Whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put on Berta, add 1 mana of any color. Berta is the kind of commander you look at and immediately think, there has to be a way to break this, right? Well, yes, there is, thanks to a card I'm sure you've never, ever heard of, Intruder Alarm. Just Berta and Intruder Alarm together create infinite entering and leaving triggers. As you keep tapping her to make 0/0 fractals that trigger Intruder Alarm before dying immediately to state-based effects. Throw in a Blade of the Blood Chief on Berta to give her infinite power and generate infinite mana. Now, that's nice and all, but let's remember, Intruder Alarm could combo with a ripe banana. Though, as it turns out, maybe Berta can too. Combine her with an Exorable Tide to proliferate another +1/+1 counter onto her whenever you cast a spell. Then use the mana Berta generates to cast Shrieking Drake over and over as the Drake bounces itself back to hand whenever it's cast. This makes Berta infinitely large, creates infinite ETB triggers, and generates infinite Storm. If you want to get more convoluted with it, and you know I do, combine Berta with Animation Module, Ivy Lane Denizen, and a Painter's Servant on green. Use the mana generated from Berta's ability to pay for the trigger on Animation Module, creating a servo, which is green thanks to Painter's Servant, which triggers your Denizen, which adds a counter on Berta, and so on. There are countless of these 4-card combos available in blue-green, which are really 3-card combos because one of your combo pieces, Berta, is in your command zone. But you don't have to be going infinite with Berta deterministically to still get ridiculous value out of her. Berta plus Ivy Lane Denizen, Defiler of Vigor, or Inexorable Tide will keep you with a constant flow of mana, especially if you have multiple of these in play at once. To keep getting creatures to cast, you'll either need a Future Sight effect, such as Elven Chorus or Literal Future Sight, or a card draw engine like Beast Whisperer, Glimpse of Nature, or the Great Henge. If you pair any one of the counter generators with any one of these card flow enablers, then every turn you untap with Berta will be utterly absurd. Really, going infinite with Berta is the epitome of win more. She's more than capable of handing you an overwhelming board just by playing a normal game. I mean, insofar as a Simic deck is ever capable of playing a normal game. And there you have it, the top 5 best new picks for Commander from Secrets of Strixhaven that aren't one of the 5 Elder Dragons. Wow, I guess maybe this was a top 10 list when you consider how much I love those 5 Elder Dragons. Which one are you going to build around? Let me know in the comments below, and also if I missed a legendary that you love that wasn't on the list. And if you haven't already, be sure to check out our 100th episode of Shuffle Up and Play, where we play with Ristic Studies and fans for some Commander gameplay that's not to be missed. That video can be accessed by clicking the I or linked in this video's description.
Next time on Shuffle Up and Play.
What's up? It's Shuffle Up and Play with fans. We are playing with fan decks. Also, we're playing with a very special guest.
I'm Mark Rosewater. I'm the head designer for Magic the Gathering.
30 years, and you have not killed it yet.
I keep trying every year.
I know you do.
This goal of destroying Magic, Mark, you're not delivering, so.
And the angel's gonna hit.
Down to 6.
Down to 6.
Hey! Blood for the blood god.
So the cynical loner is coming at Mark.
I will take 3 cynicism.
So we're doing a fair, logical attack here. Would you agree, Mr. Rosewater? This is logic. This is gameplay.
It's actually politics.
How is that politics?